Iowa's Lucy Olsen, who transfers from Villanova, is a prospect to keep your eye on for this upcoming draft with her bucket-getting ability and reliable playmaking chops. With this college scouting series, I want to start by running through a player's stat profile, then we'll get into their strengths and improvement areas, and finally finish off with my preseason scouting grade on them as prospects. To start with the basics, Olsen is what I would call a combo guard, not a true point guard at 5'9". She will be almost 22 years old on draft day, and she is auto eligible because this is her true senior season. For the numbers, in her final season at Villanova as a junior, 23.3 points. She was third in the nation in scoring, also 4.8 rebounds, 3.8 assists to 2.5 turnovers, as well as 1.9 steals and 0.6 blocks, on 49% from 2, 29% from 3, and 80% from the line. She played 36 minutes per game for Villanova. Moving to her strengths as a prospect, it's first and foremost her mid-range creation, as well as her decision-making and her floater game. To dive into her mid-range game first, for some numbers to start, on pull-up mid-range jumpers last season, Olsen shot 42% on 5.5 attempts per game. This was number 2 in the nation in points scored on pull-up twos, only behind Texas's Madison Booker. So Olsen's volume, her efficiency, and what she can do in the mid-range is better than almost any other player in the country. It's a much different look. Like for Iowa fans, you had Caitlin Clark, who did not take many pull-up twos, took a ton of pull-up threes, more than anybody else in like college basketball history. For Olsen, her approach is like the exact opposite of Clark. A ton of pull-up twos, not as many pull-up threes, and she does a superb job at getting to her spots in the mid-range thanks to a good handle and a deep bag. She has a killer right-left crossover and also uses spin moves well, uses pacing well to get to her spot, to pull up from crazy angles. And this wouldn't be possible without her release, her high release point being 5'9". With that release point makes it super tough to block. It's very much Maddie Siegrist-esque. I don't know, it's like how they teach at Villanova, I guess. The approach with shooting, mid-range shooting in specific, to like have these jumpers that are super tough to block in the mid-range. Siegrist was much like that as a prospect. Obviously, much different skill sets. Siegrist was like a forward. Olsen is like a guard, cannot play on the wing because she is 5'9". My favorite spot for Olsen to shoot, though, is like at that elbow, getting to that right elbow. But she can also shoot in like the short corner, the deep corner, etc., etc. Much better getting to her right than going left, but she's like solid going left. Moving to her second skill as a prospect, it's her decision-making and her passing chops. For Olsen, she's not a true point guard in the sense of like what her role would be in the W. More of a combo guard. Put her alongside another ball handler. She can do that. For some numbers, 28.1% assist rate to a 10.1% turnover rate. So like a very good mark there for a college point guard. And how I would describe her passing is she is a good table setter for an offense because of that low turnover rate and her ability to read the floor. She is a good dump-off passer. She can make good reads out of pick and roll, can make some pocket passes, can make some nice wraparound passes. I wouldn't say she's an elite passer in terms of being able to manipulate a defense with her eyes. And she does some value-added passing things, like she does some of that kind of stuff, but I wouldn't say it's on the level of Charlize Ledger-Walker, Olivia Miles, Paige Beckers even. Like these are players I would call, even Georgia Amore, I would call these players like for sure point guards, can run an offense at the WNBA level. For Olsen, Tahina Paopao, even like Sarah Andrews, these players are much more like combo guard-y than being a true point guard, but still it's a strength. Having a player that can make good reads, can drive, can make kick-out passes, she does all of those things super well. The other strength for Olsen is her floater. A very niche micro skill here is I don't think there's any better prospect in this class that is better at using step-throughs than Olsen. The way she can use head fakes and like get into that step through, go for a floater, how she sets up her floaters is super creative. Like she has the best step through in the class. She finds crafty ways to get into her floater downhill, Not the most explosive athlete. Like, she's a good athlete, can get downhill, but how she uses like head fakes and like uses like the way to manipulate defenders to get in the air to open up her floater is super impressive. For some numbers, 38.2% on floaters last season, 0.9 attempts per game. Pretty solid volume there. Like, she takes a good amount of floaters and is pretty good on those little shots in between from the mid-range and at the rim. That's a strength for her. But moving to her improvement areas / questions, it's her off-ball shooting, her half-court finishing, as well as one question is like, can her defense improve with less usage on offense? For reference, she had a 36% usage rate last season. This is one of the highest marks in college basketball. So her offensive load was so high. So can she be a better defender if she's not asked to do as much on offense, which won't be the case in the W? She won't be running a 36% usage in the W. Like, there's like 0.00% chance, not even 0.1% chance that would happen. So just start with the off-ball shooting. Her mark was better as a sophomore. It was like 35%, which is where she needs to get back to be a WNBA player. 35% on catch and shoot threes as a sophomore. Last season as a junior, 30.9%. 3.1 attempts per game. As far as her mechanics, there's not like a ton of major questions here. Like some other prospects, like, oh, this is a bad shot. Like, just clearly a bad shot. I wouldn't say it's a bad shot. I think her mechanics are better from 2 than they are from 3, just like looking at them. When you go back from like farther distance, her mechanics aren't quick, so she doesn't like work the best off movement, being able to shoot off movement. She is a good off-ball mover, to be clear. Whenever I say she's not like a movement shooter, it's like she's not going to catch it at a weird angle like she does in the mid-range. She doesn't do that as much from 3. She has to more like set her body, get her body organized, get her shot prep organized, and then shoot it. That's like the one thing with her three-point mechanics. But if she can just make stationary threes, run off a screen, spot up, catch it, shoot it, make him at like a 35% clip, that would be huge for her prospects. Then we're looking at more of like a tier better as a prospect if she can do that, because right now it's more just like on-ball skills. Like, she can work off ball, she's a good off-ball mover, but her strengths right now offensively come from what she can do on the ball. The other concern is her rim finishing. For Olsen, she does a good job at getting downhill. She has a sneaky, explosive first step, but I feel like she struggles a lot when it comes to like driving left and finishing with her left. Driving right, much better, but with her left, she's just not great in this area. One good sign, though, is that she does draw fouls. She draws 4.9 free throw attempts per game last season. This ranked in the 97th percentile in Division I. So when she's getting downhill going left, she's not finishing and not finishing unless she's drawing a foul. So like, that's really the only productive way she is scoring whenever she's getting to her left. It's through drawing fouls. Besides that, driving right's a little bit better. She has the floater, obviously, but being able to consistently finish in the half court is a question for Olsen. As far as like, can she attack closeouts? Can she punish defenses for playing tight on her from 3? And then my one question as far as her defense is not as much about her off-ball defense. It's more on-ball. It's like off-ball, she's a good helper. She rotates well. She's in the right spots. It's more on-ball. If she doesn't have to do as much offensively, can she get down in a defensive stance and be better defending the pick and roll? Because at Villanova, there was many times where like her footwork was not good. She was a second late, like kind of like lackadaisical, defending ball screens, would just let someone drive right by her, get to the rim, create an advantage, kick it out, drive, and finish. So I'm more just asking, can she be a neutral defender? Can she make good rotations? I think she can do that kind of stuff. But can she be like okay on ball to where she's not like a target every single night in the W? Because teams will target her just because she is 5'9". She is not like the most athletic player. She's a good athlete, but as far as her lateral mobility on defense, they can target her in those areas. Not the longest player, not the most athletic vertically. So I'm very interested to see playing at Iowa alongside Hannah Stolke, some other players within the scheme. Can she be better defensively? Hopefully the usage is not as high as Villanova. Hopefully it's more like 28-30% rather than 36%, which is like running up to what Caitlin was running last season. Hopefully it's more of like an egalitarian offensive approach rather than letting Lucy Olsen score 25 points a night. That's like probably not their best path to success. Olsen is not Caitlin Clark, cannot do the same things offensively. But moving to my scouting grade, to recap this episode, my preseason scouting grade on Olsen as a prospect is a 30 grade. I'm higher on her, though, than Rory Harmon just because Olsen is 5'9", not 5'6". And also, with Olsen, I'm higher on offensively leaning guards compared to a defensive guard that's like an awesome defender but doesn't provide much of value offensively. It's a little bit different than Raven Johnson, where Raven is like an all-time great guard defender prospect and also is like not a complete negative offensively. Roy Harmon, much more of a negative. For Olsen, she has the ancillary skills. There's some ancillary skills there as far as like she's made off-ball threes in the past. Also, the passing is pretty solid. The off-ball defense is pretty solid as well. It's more just about, can she make her catch-and-shoot threes consistently to provide second side creation ability along with what she can do as a shooter from three to really be this player that can play on ball and play off ball, because right now the off ball value is just not there for me to bet on this player in this class. Like, I would much rather take someone like Tahina Paopao or someone like Isaiah James from NC State, because I'm much more higher on James's ability to drive, her athleticism, her defense. Also, her shot creation, I would price him a little bit higher on as far as like being able to make pull-up threes. Olsen just doesn't take as many pull-up threes as she does pull-up twos. Olsen is absolutely a prospect in this class, someone I am excited to watch at Iowa this season, playing a much better schedule in the Big Ten compared to the Big East, where she played UConn, played some good teams in what was at the WNIT or whatever the tournament was called this year, played some good teams, played super well, but it's more about what can she do over a full season against a Big Ten schedule where hopefully she's not running things all the time offensively and then having to take plays off defensively, which makes her scouting report and how to contextualize what she can do at the WNBA level a little bit tougher. Anyways, let me know your thoughts on Olsen as a prospect, what you want to see more of in the comments below. This is my final preseason scouting report for the 2025 draft. Plenty of coverage on the way. Stay tuned for that, but let me know what you think in the comments below. Subscribe, like this video, and comment for the algorithm, and I'll see y'all next time.